Welcome to Poets Corner here at Scarlett Bennett Center. We're glad you chose to join us this evening because you're in for a treat. Our poet this evening is Ashley Mintz, and not only is she a poet, but she's a visual artist. She's interested in film. She sings, she plays, she writes music, she teaches, she studies and teaches art. Ashley is a very talented young woman who's going to share tonight with us some of her own writings, and you may have a few other things happen too. I think it's going to be a fun evening, and welcome, Ashley.
Thank you, Joyce. So I will be reading some of my works, and we will also have a few piano songs playing. Let me get situated here. And so I will be starting with a piece called Glass. And some of my writings are kind of short poems, but I have some longer prose pieces. I'll be reading some that I've written from like years when I first started writing. But this first one is called Glass. My feet just missed it. The broken bottle on the damp street, wet from last night's storm, or maybe his tears. And as the water disappears, so must his headache. I imagine that those are his tears, that man that I see sometimes downtown, wrinkling dark brown skin, eyes far off somewhere, recalling a fine memory or many tragedies. Heart in shards like that bottle, such rage as he hurls it. Forget the world, this world has changed. No more feeling invisible, no more being called names for being a color he didn't choose. Yes, the world has changed, but he doesn't know how to change with it. It's too late and he doesn't know how to relate. And he is just like that glass. Everyone who comes near him avoids him, wondering who will come by and clean him up. This next piece is called Revolving Door. The father who leaves his daughter sets the stage for every man thereafter to do the same. But perhaps she is partly to blame for leaving the door slightly ajar, a sliver of what's on the other side, mirroring what little hope she holds. She leaves it open in case he returns, as the others, they come and go, come and go. And so I have a few pieces that are about my father, who actually wasn't really around when I was younger, and he died when I was 16. And I didn't really think that his not being around affected me until I was like a young adult, like early 20s. And then when I started writing more, a lot of the writing that I did was based around him. So I realized that it actually did affect me, and writing about it was sort of like my way of healing the relationship with him, or rather the lack thereof. So this next piece was also written based around like the relationship I had with my father. He wasn't really around, but he would write letters, and he worked for a radio station, so he would send tapes from when he would like have songs played, and he would like say, "This is for my kids," and so but this is kind of from that. So it's called Blame the Bottle. You cursed the phone for not ringing, or rather for the times that it did ring, but that it wasn't him. Tore up the letters you sent, the ones where you let your tears smear the ink, hoping that they would make him think, feel guilt, and remember. But all that you got were your letters sent back marked return to sender. You started telling your friends that your dad went to war and that he may never come back, even though the only war was with the man staring back at him through empty bottles. And he never came back. But as far as you knew, he was always gone. Sitting in his brown chair, television blaring, the news all night, emptied beer cans lining up by the minute, he was always gone. And you carry on, telling the same riddles, keeping one foot in, but never letting anyone get past the middle. And with every man you meet, you raise walls and let time make you into a stone. But unless you want to end up alone, you tell yourself to look at the man you love and to tell yourself that he is not your father, and then stop the blaming of every man for his sins. Instead, blame the bottles your father cradled while you cried alone in your cradle. The bottles he held while your hands clenched tightly into themselves, lonely, because it's harder to believe that he didn't love you, his own daughter. So you blame the bottles for holding poison and not pure water. You blame the bottles for why you no longer have a father. And so this next one is a prose piece. And I feel like when I first started writing, I kind of wrote, and I had people tell me that what I wrote was kind of like long, but I still liked it. Because whenever I read, I like reading short stories or prose pieces. So I like long stuff. So this is one of the first things that I wrote. And I also like storytelling, so I like to write song lyrics, and even when I listen to music, I like lyrics that kind of tell stories and kind of like move you through time. So this was kind of with that idea, but this is called The Fire. She imagines that her face used to be as smooth as the glossy photograph. Touch has become her favorite sense. Slowly, she rubs the picture between her fingers. It's not that she's aged much. No, in fact, in the photograph, she is only 3 months younger, standing next to him, both smiling. But then the accident, the fire. By the time they awoke, it was too late to get by without brushing too closely against it. Too hot. And that smell, something like tar, a taste that seems to never have left her, even now. And pieces of wood falling from above them as though the sky were falling. Where can one run when the sky is falling all around you? She tried to remember what she promised herself that she would grab in case something like this ever happened. And so, while she tried, he hurried to get dressed. She grabbed what she could, a novel next to the TV in their living room that she had just started reading a few days before, a small ceramic Indian girl that her great-grandmother molded and painted for her when she was small. It's hard to see clearly when in a panic, and even harder when you're fading in and out of clouds of smoke. Rushing around, she almost forgot about her shoes and how she needed them the most. She tripped over them. It was almost as though they were telling her, "Get out, go now." And just as she slipped her feet halfway in, bending the backs of her shoes, he was there pulling at her elbows, her hands full, and his too. She stumbled forward a few steps before she remembered the ring her mother handed down from her mother, who got it from her mother. But going back for it put her too close. Everything fell from her hands, and she went down too. She turned her face away, but it was too late. No, 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 she screamed as she felt herself being carried away to safety. And now she runs her knuckles across her cheek, remembering the texture of it, reminding her of her favorite jacket, a bit rough but smooth. That jacket, one of the many things that was lost. We still have our lives, she thought, and softly murmured to herself while they both laid in the hospital recovering. We still have each other. But now she understands that even the photograph she saved of them is only a thing. Her face will never be the same smiling as she was. She will never be the same, and especially here without him. And then I have a few short ones. This one is called Cells. And it's about someone in prison who kind of like missed out on like technology and the way it works. Well, I'll just read it. It'll probably be better to just read it. So it's Cells. He gets out and he doesn't know how to use a cell phone. And it's not just because of the brain cells he's killed with each hit. He's always behind, missing out as technology excels, because the only cells he is familiar with are the ones with bars and the cells that got him there. And then this is another short one called First Time Grandmother. One time I read an article about parents who were saying that they wish that they had never had kids. And so this just made me think about how one would feel if they never had kids, but then if their kids had kids. So first time grandmother. My mother never wanted children. She told me herself one day when I asked her how she knew that she was ready. And so instead of telling her the news, I held my belly and my tongue. All right, and so I also love to write song lyrics. And so this next one that I'll read is actually sort of like song lyrics. I won't like be singing, but I also remember when I was in high school, I took a creative writing class, and our teacher wanted us to write sort of like, kind of like storytelling, but in the form of like lyrics. So this always made me think about it. But this is kind of just like an idea of like song lyrics that I wrote. And it's sort of autobiographical, kind of like the way that I grew up, but not completely. But so this is called Make It Home. I'm just going to read it off. Mama tried to make it out, but her account was always in the red. So she said we'd hang around and make this place like home instead. So Mama tried to make it ours, a dog, a TV, and canned food in the cupboards, a hose to drink from on the lawn, and plants in windows that bloomed then hovered. We lived in that place for so long, but not long enough to make it home. Still, Mama tried to make it ours, put used books in shelves and taped pictures to the walls. It wasn't long before they fall on their own. Mama tried to make it home. Sometimes I'd wish for more in life, like being rich enough to afford nice things, but dreaming was as far as it'd ever go. And sometimes I'd pray for more time while wasting away what were my dreams. I didn't know then that what's inside is what makes a home. My brother, he was in and out, wrote long letters and cried on the phone. Behind those thick steel bars, I doubt that he could ever make it feel like home. And soon I found a place for me with money from the restaurant, with walls that moaned and floors that creaked and neighbors fighting in earshot. Mama couldn't teach what Mama didn't know, like how to make a place a home. Still, sometimes I'd wish for more in life, like being rich enough to afford nice things, but dreaming was as far as it ever go. And sometimes I'd pray for more time while wasting away what were my dreams. I didn't know then that what's inside is what makes a home. My brother, he was out this time, and in the church were holy folks. We stood among the singing choir and held hands as the preacher spoke, then met up at the place where we chose to lay her tired bones. I'm glad that we were both right there to see our mama finally make it home. All right. I feel like this is like really kind of like a lot of sad stuff, but this is life. So this next one, it's untitled, but it's from a personal situation, someone that I was involved with, and who, after being involved with him for like a few years, I realized that like I was kind of being strung along. So it's untitled. So the taste of your words was sweet, or was it my twisting them, changing their order to make them fit like missing pieces that would complete my puzzling reality? I try to make our past seem not as bad so you could be the hero in my presence, right here in my present, and save me. But you've got others waiting, and lately you only mirror what I am afraid of facing. And just before we shatter, I step back from the cracks, threatening to scatter the parts of us that were once intact. You and I, these beautiful, ugly beings, I turn away from what I am seeing and let the smoke rise as I burn every flag, red waving in my favor, because love cannot wait until later. I need it now like an unwritten song needs a creator, like two enemies need a mediator. You feed me crumbs and so I savor, while you move back and forth and coast to coast to find life and to await her and her and her. Tell me, do puppets always dance? Because sometimes I tiptoe softly so that the strings will not make extra creases in your fingers and disfigure your hands. You may need them whole one day in case you ever decide to hold mine. And then I've got a couple more short ones before a piano interlude. So this one is called Sunday. And I wrote this because I would take the bus a lot, and I still do sometimes. But I remember feeling kind of like embarrassed by it. And one Sunday, Sunday morning, I was riding the bus, and this kind of just like came to me. So it's called Sunday. I look out at the window at the people speeding by. I feel no shame right now, unafraid of who might see me, a blur in this row of faces. Faces of folks who are irresponsible or broke or both. I feel no shame right now because all of my friends are at home, still asleep, still drunk, or still drinking. And the people in their cars this early morning, in their dresses, their collared shirts, and their cross pendants, hanging from chains, hanging proudly around their necks. They smile as they pass by. They might judge me for other things, but not for riding this bus. And then this next piece is called Remember. Sometimes I wonder when the earth will decide that it's my turn to line up underneath it next to other bone-ridden boxes. Or will I be ashes, freed from some loved one's hands, writhing with the wind, fighting to mix in with the dirt and waters, a final vow to be part of it all, even in death? If I write my will that further prepare me? Will the tangible things I leave behind mean more than the risks I was willing to take? And what would my sister choose to remember me by? This piano I will leave her, or the songs that we used to sing? And now we will go to a piano interlude by this awesome dude. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. All right. So now we will continue. Everyone that's on the live, give it up for for the piano player. All right. So I always feel like the stuff that I write is kind of sad or like heartbreaking, but then again, it's real life. Like, I kind of grew up in a chaotic situation, so, but I feel like my mom is also a writer, so I always admired her writing because she was real, like she told it like it was, so I kind of tried to do that too. So this piece is when I was in school years ago, I went to Nashville State, and I had this amazing teacher, Phyllis Gobble. She was my English teacher, and then she also taught creative writing. But when I took her creative writing class, I feel like I totally like opened up, and just the writing became a whole new thing. Like, it wasn't just English; it was just a whole new thing. It was a great way to express myself. So they actually had I don't know if they still have it, but they had a literary journal that they did every year at the school. And this piece was in one of the journals, and it's called A Trusting Heart. So this isn't like this didn't really happen, but it was something I was afraid of happening, where I had a boyfriend, and then I met like a girl who wanted to be my friend. But she was such an awesome girl that I was like afraid that if I became friends with her, she would, like, my boyfriend would end up liking her. Like, I was really young and like immature. So, but anyways, so that's where this came from. So A Trusting Heart. But this didn't really happen to me. So, okay. I never understood why so many women I knew hated all men after being hurt by only one. I thought that a new man meant a new start. I thought their pessimism was unrealistic, as they dismissed every man as the same based on past experiences or website statistics. But now I get it. Being hurt one time is sometimes enough to ruin it for everyone. And I despise my once trusting heart, the never questioning things. The oftentimes I should have used caution. Only naive minds try thinking with their hearts without wondering what it might cost them. And then they miss the signs transpiring. And that's how liars get by, you see, because sometimes a heartbeat can be so loud that it drowns out the mind entirely. And even if I felt that I could trust a man again, even to the greatest extent, there would always be a question of intent. Yours was not evident until I walked in that day unexpected, not expecting to find you undressed, and in my mind, one question. Why didn't you hold my heart on a pedestal as high as you held her naked body straddled over yours? Her frail body so hungry for the love that was mine, ours, but no more. She won, and I didn't even know that we were at war. Still, I couldn't help but think that she looked more beautiful than ever before, her hands planted on your chest as she cried out for more, and on her wrists, a friendship bracelet that matched the one that I wore. Okay, and this next one is called Threads. And I actually did a painting where I when I do paintings, I add words to them. Like, I'll use paint or paint markers to like add some kind of words or like passages. So I actually just kind of added words to a painting, and then I tried to continue the word. Like, it's just a few words, but then I tried to like continue it. But so this might still be like a work in progress. It's really like short and simple, but this is called Threads. My mother and my father created the threads, and my days and nights, they weave the fabric that is me, what was, what is, into what I am becoming. At times, the fabric too tough, it frays the thread, In aching, it bends the needle and ceases movement. But with time, it moves again. Through cracks from a heart being broken, but healed, then rebroken. A light reveals itself before the threading of the spaces left open. Moving through as new patterns cling to every tear and frayed edge. Tears staining the color, laughter stretching it like elastic. Risks and regret find common peace as their pieces attach. And the thread never runs out, instead it runs through, from the blood of those before, bloodlines kept alive through stitches, twine that never weakens, moving with life, with color, it seeps, mixing in and fixing every tattered piece. And this next piece is called Reminders. And the way that I came up with this piece was that my grandpa died. It's been 10 years now. Actually, I'm like a little over 10 years. And that was the first time that someone like really close to me had died. So it was really hard for me to deal with. But one time when I was on the bus, a guy got on, and he just the way that he was acting and the way that he looked reminded me a lot of my grandpa. And so I thought, and then I've also seen kind of like other people that look like other family members. So it made me think about how even though like someone dies, I feel like there's parts of them that remain, like we can see it in other people. And so that made me write this. So reminders. When people die, I wonder if they ever really leave us, or do they linger, reminding us I'm still here. Like, have you ever seen your father smile on a stranger, or heard your sister's laugh come out of someone else's mouth? Have you ever seen your cousin's long curly hair on someone else's head, bouncing and coiling up the way that it did on her before the chemo failed? I've seen my grandfather, years gone, and plenty of other people, in the mannerisms of others, like that one day when that old man got on the bus, smiled and had brown skin just like him. There were plenty of empty seats around, but he sat next to me. He didn't say anything, just sat there, letting me take the moment in. And this next one is called More Courage Than Me. And this kind of, so when you think of like abusive relationships, even if it's just like verbally abusive, I feel like a lot of people write in the voice of the abused. So I kind of wanted to like do it in the voice of the abuser. But not like too intense. But anyways, this is called More Courage Than Me. I used to keep fire on my tongue and barbed wire around my heart. And my words lingered around the windows and doors. Those fighting words like invisible bars that I must have been counting on, but not to keep anyone from coming in. And on the walls by where you used to move, they lack the darkness of your shadow, once dancing and laughing, then quiet and slow moving. Now another kind of darkness remains. Now there are only echoes of memories and lint stuck on the door where you used to hang your coat, the dripping in the faucet that only became apparent when you decided to stop talking. And that creak on the fourth step that told me you were home. I skipped that step on the way up and down, but still hear phantom footsteps and that still silence that rings in my ears since the winter that you left. Right, left, right, left, right to where you remembered that there was a door. and you walked right through it. You walked away no longer on eggshells. And this next one is it's simply called New Mexico. That's where I'm from. And so when I was in school at Nashville State Community College, when I was taking the creative writing class, one of our assignments was to do a Where I'm From poem. And I can't remember the person who started that, but there's a woman who did a Where I'm From poem, and she kind of just described different things that she grew up around and that made up her childhood. So that was one of our assignments, but I actually ended up, I don't know, I thought it would be fun to just do it because I kind of miss home and I love New Mexico. Representing, woo! Just kidding. Okay. So I'm from Las Cruces, New Mexico. So I just titled this New Mexico, but it's based off of the Where I'm From poem. I am from the ditch and the weeds, just over the fence. From peach trees and the tomato garden in my grandparents' backyard. A fireplace that was never lit and black and white photos and albums. Photos that fell apart just by touching them. From the yucca flower and the roadrunner bird, I am the streets of melting tar on hot days and sticker patches blistering bare feet. Collard greens and chitlins every Sunday morning after church, and wild hair and hair grease to tame that head. I am from, you think money grows on trees, and if the Lord says so. From black, white, and Indian blood, a hard-headed grandmother who spoke without listening, a grandfather who didn't like to hug, and aunts who were more like sisters. Rollerblading, bike riding, and video games, the familiar jingle of the ice cream truck slowly creeping up the street while we begged for change before he passed our house. I am from the China dinnerware, encased safely behind glass that we could look at but never touch. A home where siblings and cousins filtered in and out at all hours, where arguments between our elders were commonplace. A grandfather singing church hymns and my mother's famous red enchiladas. Sleeping on newly carpeted floor in a 4-bedroom house. I am from early Saturday morning pancakes and cartoons. The one time our house had peace. Let's see. Okay, so this next one, be on time. This next one is called The Caretaker. It's a shorter one. And I wrote this because I was thinking about how if someone grows up with a caretaker who's not their parent, I guess even if it is their parent, how if their parent is sort of not the nicest, just how vulnerable you can be as a kid. And you have to kind of learn to trust this person even though they might not have the best interests. So this is called The Caretaker. Imagine that the hand that you want to hold is the same hand that struck your 8-year-old face, the hand that often forgot to feed you. Imagine that the person you wanted to invite to your first choir recital the most is the same one who told you that you would amount to nothing. You will learn to trust her and believe everything that she says, just like the time that she told you that your mother didn't love you and was never coming back for you, and that came true. Sorry, this is so depressing. I feel like whenever I do readings, I have to like, I don't know. There is maybe a couple that are like more uplifting. But I don't know. I feel like maybe a lot of people can relate. Like maybe, I don't know. Anyways, okay. So this next one, this is kind of a long one. It's called Mirror, and it's about my grandmother who she passed away. It's been about 9 years now, and or maybe more, maybe like 10 years. But she had Alzheimer's. So this was my experience. This is my experience from that. And I grew up with my grandparents most of my life, especially like my young life. So this is called Mirror. This is a prose piece. Her name is Rosie, but my grandfather called her Rose. Some of my family used to joke and call us twins because as I got older, I began to resemble the way that she looked when she was younger. I never saw it, but I didn't deny it either. My grandmother with her yellow-toned skin and brownish red hair like autumn leaves changing was always changing. A laugh could quickly turn into angry words rolling off of her tongue like a flame or a ball of fire, catching your skin and eating it right down to your heart. Projection, I'm guessing, from a lifetime of rejection. Maybe I got it worse because I was like a direct reflection, reminding her of a history she thought she left, and maybe it still hurt because she never got the lesson. Not enough tears fell for the scars to lessen. To the white kids who spit on her from school buses as she walked to school, she was too black. To her family and friends always teasing her she was too light, and with the changing times she thought that I had it easier. But things weren't always bad between me and her. I still remember those early Sunday mornings when I watched her put on blue eyeliner and red lipstick as we got ready for church. One day she started showing me how to do the same, and almost every Sunday morning we were late. Over the years, I slowly began to grow into my own, mixed with pieces of each generation before me. I became myself by taking the parts of my grandmother that were so deeply ingrained in me, that weren't working, and left them where my tears fell, and she and I became a little more free. It was the good memories that I decided to keep. Who are you? My grandmother asked me one day. My own grandmother. This woman I have known all of my life and who I lived with for more than half of it. We stared at each other in equal confusion, but for different reasons. Who am I? I'm Ashley, I told her. My mouth stopped explaining, but my memories and my heart kept on. I am the one who you taught about makeup, the one you used to let go through your piles of makeup scattered in drawers like I was searching for treasure, letting me take whatever I wanted, the one whose good grades you were always proud of. It's me, your oldest granddaughter. But even then, not even the tears seeping from my heart, not even my hopeful energy could mend whatever it was that fell apart in her memory. Born to her own daughter, I still became more like a long-lost friend she would try to recall but never remember again. I was a stranger. Still, I looked into her eyes, hoping that she would remember me, her twin. I kept looking even after it was clear that she wouldn't. Because if she didn't remember me, she might remember herself in this mirror I was trying to create. She might remember who she was, and that would have been enough for me. So a lot of my writing is based around like race. So my dad was white, my mom was black, and there's like Native American in my like on my mom's side. So there's a lot of racial stuff going on. But that's a lot of my writing is based on that. See how much time we have. Man, time flies. Ooh. Okay, so this next one, it's called Tears for Trayvon, speaking of race. And so I actually wrote this one years ago after the whole Trayvon Martin thing happened. And I thought I would read it tonight because there's still like a lot of stuff going on. Like if you look at the media with the, well, it's a lot of with the police officers and like Black people. So, but I wanted to read this because it's kind of like a reminder of how disparities are. Like, yeah. All right. So, Tears for Trayvon. What was your favorite color, Skittle, little boy? Not yet a man, but somewhere in the middle, still so innocent. Why would they use the color of your skin to make jokes and riddles? The world is ignorant. Yet you had a bag of candy and it in your hands. You had your life before you, but centuries of hate on your shoulders. And as you got older, did the world seem a little more cold? It's a little bit harder sometimes for those of us with more color on our faces. So many scars have traveled through bloodlines from previous generations, while new wounds unravel you, trying to replace them. And although we're trying to, we can't escape them. How many more bullets will meet brown-toned chests, those who didn't think to wear bulletproof vests? How many more bullets before they figure out that we are equal, we are people? And how many more killers will go free before we are extinct? These perfectly precious lives, they are spilling our blood like running water wasted down a kitchen sink. And all for the hate that they choose to believe in. All the while they refuse to question the reasons. And I believe that hate is learned like schoolbook reading. I believe his hate was learned and his story became so riddled with such belittling theories that when it met with yours, we saw history repeat, and so clearly. Our past is more like our present, and the steps we've taken were really just to dead ends. And the future looks like more regretting for the things we haven't changed from our pasts to which we are always indebted. Even when there's a chance to reset it, instead we push repeat and play the same duets. Wish for change, but wait for someone else to do it. We say we're all the same, but we act like strangers when it's time to prove it. Borders no longer separate only countries and states. They separate race from race. Invisible borders that feed hate, while love is left starving to death, empty plate. He claims he pulled the trigger to keep safe, but he pursued, irate and ready to berate you, because the color of your skin triggered the hate that he so closely relates to. And in that split-second decision where the position of your fate was in a state of transition, he let his hate choose. And now the world will never know the ways that you could have made it better. And I hope that he never has the nerve to pull his hood over his head to shield himself from bad weather. Because those are your tears trying to wash away his hate, trying to heal your own and our pain. And even though that was like years ago, but I just feel like, with everything going on, it's kind of like repeating itself. Let's see how much time we have. Okay, so I'll do one more short one, and it's really short, but it's kind of more like happy, like about love. And then I'll do a piano outro. Okay. I can't believe how quick that went by. Like I had more, like I had extra stuff, like just in case, but all right. So this one is called Falling. It's like really short. Falling. I brace for waters, these waves, smooth then overwhelming, they soothe then like a veil, they cover me. I lose myself while discovering you, my male reflection. This mirrored view like pure introspection, like you were here to bring a message, a lesson. I give thanks for this blessing and hope that you'll stay here with me. for as long as your lungs take breaths in. And that was that. And then I'm gonna do, this is kind of like, oh yeah. So I like to play piano, and this is just something that I did like years ago. It's just like a simple instrumental. Here we go. Are we ready? All right. All right. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley, for sharing not only your words, but your music. Very good. And we're glad that you joined us, everyone out there. And we also must thank Michael Bunn for playing his number on the piano as well. Yep. It's been a great evening. Come and join us next month. Thank you.